Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. Welcome back to the channel, Shelly's Millions. Something that I've never done before is calculate my FIRE number, financially independent, retire early. And I want to see what that would look like for me. And I'm hoping that in doing that, it will help you guys determine what your number would be. I don't think that in my personal situation that I have enough to retire early. That was never really my plan. But I am curious what that would look like. Most of my money is in my 401k. Actually, I'm lying. Most of my money is in the equity of my house, but I'm not planning on selling my house, and I would actually need a place to live if I retired early, so I'm not really gonna count that, and I wouldn't really consider tapping into the equity of the house, I don't think. There are I mean, I feel like this would be risky. There are some people who say, "Take the equity in your house and invest that, and you can use that to, like, grow your wealth as well." I don't think I would do that. I wouldn't be comfortable putting my only place to live at risk of jeopardy. Risk of I wouldn't put it at risk to try and essentially gamble with it, right? So, what I have is my 401k, and I can't access the money in that until I'm 59 and a half. So that's another 12 years from now. Um, I don't have, hi, Richard, good morning. And happy Sunday to everybody. So I don't really have a lot in funds that I can access. And I don't really know if I really want to change my investing strategy. So right now, my investing strategy is been to put in as much money into my company match, my 401k, as I possibly can. Hi, Linda. We did talk a little bit about and we can definitely change topics if you guys want to. So, a lot of people were asking about the Medicaid changes. You're saying it's not as bad as people think. All you have to do is make an income of 80 hours multiplied by the federal minimum wage of 7.25. What about if you volunteer? So, if you volunteer, you wouldn't be able to make a federal minimum wage, um, but just to kind of give you an let's do the math on that really quickly. Um, so if that's true, and I have not verified this independently, but you're a good source. So I thought it was that you could work 80 hours or you could volunteer or be in school. And that is a month. But okay, for example, okay, you're saying, yeah, the bill has very interesting language. As long as you make $580 a month, you could basically stay on that program. I don't know about volunteering though. So at my job, um, which is a movie theater, our staff just started making $18.59 an hour to start. So that's for, selling tickets, scooping popcorn, cleaning the popcorn machine in the auditoriums at the end of the night, that kind of thing. So 580 divided by 18 point no no 18.59 equals, so they would only need to work a little over 31 hours. Let's call it 32 hours. And then let's also say that on average, there's 4 weeks in a month. So divided by 4. They could actually just work about 8 hours a week and hit that with the minimum wage that they're making. Um, and we're in Los Angeles County, and we do pay our staff a little bit more than the required minimum wage. So at 580 a month, they would only need to average about 8 hours a week. Now, here's the tricky part. And I will say that at my job, We actually it's possible potentially to just work like 1 shift a week or maybe 2 4-hour shifts a week. We actually do employ people for just that short amount of time. So that would be possible. What just happened there? What did I push? Um, so probably you could find a job where you're just working 8 hours a week to hit that minimum. Or the 80 hours a week volunteering or enrolled in school. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. You guys know that that means to please like the video. All right. But I really do. I want to calculate my fire number. So I know that everybody's worried about Medicaid. And here's the thing, right? And what I'm worried about is people like kind of overwhelming uh the emergency system because people are still going to need healthcare whether they have insurance or not. Anthony, that's great news. You have a boyfriend. You're so smitten and in love with this guy. I know it's corny, but you're blushing all day. I love that for you. So I'm so happy for you about that. That is awesome. Then Richard says, I don't think anything in the big, beautiful bill will affect me because of my age. I'm 66. That could be, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not currently working. I think you would be allowed to make more money without it being taxed if you ever did want to go back to work. Okay. Guys, I know a lot of you are retired as well. So, you know what, for those of you who are retired and or not working, what age did you retire at? So, and again, a little bit about my situation is I'm single. It's looking, Anthony, it's not looking like I've got a boyfriend in my future right now. So it's looking like I'm going to be single for a while. And I'm the sole provider in my household. My mom currently lives with me. I shouldn't say I'm the sole provider. Like, my mom is contributing. She wants to pay me rent, so she does. And I let her. That helps with the bills and all of that. She pays me out of her Social Security. So, oh no, where's my little? Sorry, guys, I'm looking for my pen. Oof, don't show you my dirty room. Okay, hold on. I think the reason why I'm curious about my financial independent retire early number is because I would be lying if I said that work is as easy today as it once was. I work what is essentially a retail job, right? And I love it. I manage a movie theater. It's fun, right? I get to see free movies. I work with young people who I say keep me young. And I enjoy what I do, but I'm on my feet I all the time. It's possible I've shared that I'm getting hand surgery, right? I have something called trigger finger, which means my fingers don't close all the way, and when they do, sometimes they get stuck. And I learned that that might be because every night I'm counting money for a deposit. And some days, like this Wednesday, I'm going to go in at 7 a.m. because I need to do inventory. But then Friday and Saturday go in at 5 and I get off at 2 a.m. And I would be lying if I said that it wasn't getting harder to work that kind of schedule. And guys, I'm going to just share a text that I do love my job, but this text I'm about to share with you kind of shares my whole experience with that job, which is hang on 1 second. Da, 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 da. I told my friend on his birthday, I said, I'll see if he was having birthday dinner. And I said, I'll see if I can leave early. Love you. And then I said, it's going to take me an hour to get there. Should I still come? I'm off now. That was at 6:25. I was hoping to leave at 5:45. Um, and he said, "We'll be leaving by 8. I'm sorry." So I missed his birthday dinner because the tasks that I needed to complete at work took a little bit longer than I thought they would. And then he said, "Wanna hang out Friday night?" And I said, "I work Friday night." And that's just been my whole life, People get married and it's on the weekend. People celebrate their birthday and it's on the weekend. And my whole life, I have said, "No. No, I can't make it. I work." And I also, you know, I'm the manager. That means I have to be there. I can't just call out sick. Somebody has to be there to unlock the doors and let the staff in. And so that means that if I don't go, probably one of my coworkers would have to work a double, and I just don't call out sick. I don't. Um, because it's really hard to find coverage. We're a small team. I mean, if I'm really sick, I do, and then I feel really guilty about it because somebody normally has to work a double. It's just getting harder, and so I'm curious what it would take for me to retire early. I think that would be awesome. I also don't really think it's in the future for me. I don't think I have enough saved up in a regular account, but I have my trusty whiteboard out. And I've never, because I just always thought that I would work until retirement age, I haven't looked much into it. But what gets measured gets accomplished, it's something like that. Joel says, "Heard about this as well. Basically $580 a week. This is about the Medicaid requirement, which is equivalent to 80 hours of federal minimum wage. It's bad if you're in a red state, but in California, that's like driving for Uber 4 hours a week, and that would be easy." Yeah, yeah. I think what in general might be harder, unless you're doing something like retail or fast food, is finding a job that needs somebody for just a few hours. But like movie theaters, and this is probably true with a lot of like restaurants and like bowling alleys and golf courses. I don't know. Um, like retail and entertainment jobs, those are gonna be busier on the weekends, and so a lot of times, but other people, Joel also says go to the party, right? Which I didn't go to the party, and I have not been going to the party since I was 18. Since I was 18, I've been not going to the party. So, when you don't it would be lovely to have somebody who could just come in for a few hours and cover for me if I want the weekend off. And I will say that the younger generation that is working with us, they go to the party. They ask for the time off. And I really I admire that. Uh, and with the younger generation that are typically in like the kind of job I work in, their shifts are a little bit easier to get covered than it is for, say, a manager. And if my friend would have planned a party in advance, which he didn't, I was like, "Hey, do you want to do something for your birthday? Do you want to go the weekend before, the weekend after?" And he was like, "No, I don't think I want to do anything." Um, so I would have been able to go if they would have planned in advance. But a spontaneous birthday dinner or a hey, like if you call me right now and say, "Hey, what are you doing Friday?" I'm already on the schedule for work. Yeah, 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 yeah. You definitely could just do a few shifts a week, 4 hours and 3 days a week at Starbucks. Yes. Yeah, no, you don't need a reason, you just need to have the right availability to suit the business needs. Starbucks is probably another good example. Um, also, if you wanna work really early, I would imagine that there's a lot of people that are not morning people, even though they're working at the coffee shop that, I bet that, like, 4 AM setup shift is probably harder to fill. Same with, like, fast food overnight, like, people working at the drive-through, and again, let's just do the math on that really quick, put that whiteboard down. If you work fast food, that minimum wage is $20 an hour, so sorry, I had a hair on my phone. 580 divided by 20. I could have done that without a calculator, but I didn't. Would be 29 hours a month. Um, And then let's say divided by 4 weeks, in a month, that would only be 7.25 hours. So you could either do like one long shift or you could do one um or two short shifts. Somewhere else, I had a job at a yoga studio for a little while. So just like checking people in to the front desk to their classes. Um Sometimes you can so let's say that your yoga studio or your or your gym or something has a really popular class at 8 a.m. and they have a really popular class at 10 a.m. So you could work from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. maybe 5 days a week. And a lot of times, not only would you get like an hourly rate, but you would get your gym classes free. And I see a lot of you are gentlemen in the chat today, but like if you do that at a yoga studio or Pilates studio or something like that, some of these places, a single class is like $27 and up. So not only would you potentially be getting an hourly rate from like the yoga studio or the gym, but you'd also be getting your classes for free. And that could be a huge benefit as well. So yeah, and I think that some of them do it on a volunteer basis. They call it like work for trade. But again, if you're talking about the financial amount, then you might not be able to make that happen. But yeah, anything like in retail, probably like a grocery store, there's probably like stock shifts that people don't want. And ooh, I forgot about this. Take a sip of coffee and I'm going to share this next thing with you. I recently found that app. Hang on. I recently found that app. I haven't checked it out a lot yet, and I meant to, called Reflex. Okay, I have not logged in. The app is called Reflex, and basically, it's an app designed so, like, I have today off. Let's say I wanna make a little extra money. I sign in, I make my account. I don't know, like, what if there's, like, an interview process, but you see shifts available at different companies that, like, match your skill set, and then you can go pick up those shifts on the spot. So it really is on your schedule. Now, I would imagine, like, my job doesn't use that as a service, but I imagine as time goes on, that'll be more popular, and when, the comments I found out about that from another creator, like your Rich BFF, I think it is, and a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, companies are just doing this to get out of paying health insurance. They're just getting out of it so that they don't have to pay you overtime. They don't want full-time workers." I don't necessarily think that's true because there's some training, right? Like, if my company did decide to use, a service like that, we'd have to train people you have to train people how to make popcorn. They need to get familiar with the layout of your specific register, even if you've used a cash register before. If I went to retail, I don't know how the Gap folds their t-shirts, like, so even though, like, I have management experience, I have cash register experience, I have customer service experience, every store that you work at, it's gonna need, like, a little bit of training because it's gonna be just enough different that you would need that. But this is that app Reflex. Oh, Debbie, I saved a horrible picture of the cat as a screensaver because I thought it was funny. But anyway, um, you can just pick up shifts when you want. So maybe you could use something like that to make the minimum. And then of course, like for people, Joel has a point about red states. Yeah, they don't have a high wage like California. So they basically have to work harder to get that Medicaid requirement. He kind of stabbed his people in the back. Yes. And I wonder though if tips would count because now I do think we're going to see more people report a greater amount of their tips. So that'll be interesting to see if that helps. And then I just thought of something. Cash tips are kind of like on the honor system. Could you work at like a Waffle House and say that now I'm not condoning lying, right? I'm just asking what would happen. I'm asking if this could happen. Could you say that you work at the Waffle House, and could you report tips that you didn't actually make? Because now you're not being taxed on those tips. So could you say, "Oh yeah, I had a YouTuber come in who tipped me $1,000 on my shift today," and boom, you work one shift and the whole and now you've met your requirement? I wonder if something like that is possible, and then you're not taxed on that tip. So look, where there's a will, there's a way, right? If people really want to get around the requirement, I think that they'll find a way to do that. And there are some things that are going to be like legitimate excuses. Alex says, congratulations. It's sweet. It feels like butterflies in your stomach. Like, I'm so happy for you guys. That is awesome. And Alex, you still living your car? How's that going? And Joel, I still haven't fixed my oil pan. I'm gonna do it next time. Oh, I did check my oil though, and it's okay. So I'm checking my oil now, but I haven't fixed the oil pan. And I'm gonna be honest, it's partially because I don't see any evidence of a leak. And like as a single girl, like I have some distrust about these mechanics. Like maybe it wasn't my Prius that they were looking at. Maybe they accidentally told me a problem for someone else's Prius because mine doesn't appear to be leaking. Okay. Now, I have to share my screen because I'm not exactly sure. I still want to do this. I want to do my fire calculation number. Okay. Yeah. What is the name of the app I mentioned? Okay. Mr. David, the name of the app is called Reflex. So I learned about it from um her channel is called Your Rich BFF, and she mentioned it. So you create an account. I think you talk about your skill set. I'm not sure if they do some sort of like interview or some sort of like vetting process, right? I would imagine that they would have to. It's not in every single state and every single neighborhood yet. It is in California, and I think where this originated is in Austin, Texas. And I really think something like this could be good, right? I really do. So the people in her comments were like, employers are just trying to get out of it. But you know what? Maybe like I could see a situation where this could be good for a company like mine. My company's not on it, but it could be good for a company like mine because you could actually be, like, doing your staff a favor because a lot of times right now when someone if somebody calls out on a Saturday night closing shift, it is so hard to find coverage. The rest if somebody's sick and they call out of that shift where I work, usually other people are not they're not trying to come to the movie theater from, I don't know, 8 PM to 2 AM in the morning, or really like 6 PM to 2 AM. That would be a more, realistic shift. But, like, if that's what fits into someone's availability, I do think that if people have, like, a special occasion coming up, or if they wanna take a trip, or they're just really hustling trying to make ends meet, that that they would pick up those shifts that are harder to fill with the existing staff. So yeah, the app is called Reflex. I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but I would like to. Okay. Joel says, I want to look at the car yourself because maybe the mechanic is just pulling your leg. Yeah, that was kind of the feeling I got. Um, and Mr. David, if you do try out this app, Reflex, please like let me know. I'm curious. And also, like, what happened to temp agencies? Do those still work? Are those still around? Do they have work? Because like everybody that I know that's gotten hired through a temp agency, they're actually more long-term jobs. It's not like you just show up and like you get a job for a day. Most of the jobs are kind of like contracted for several months. You're not a full-time employee at the company, but you're also like not just showing up for one day of work. At least in my experience with the people that I know. Okay. I want to look up that fire number. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to Google how to calculate your fire number. Fire number. All right. Oh, this is the AI overview. But is Labor Ready still in business? I think so. I've definitely heard of them. W says, in regards to the Medicaid requirement, if you don't have any income, then I guess you have to just prove solid 80 hours of volunteer work or attending school or combination of both of those. Yes, that is the impression that I'm under. And then also it's not going into effect right away, so there is a little bit of time. And like, so I wonder for my friend who's caring for his mom in that time frame, I wonder if like he could get like a certification or something like that or a waiver since he is her caretaker. Taking a sip of coffee, that means please take a moment and like the video. All right, let's see here. The fire number. Okay. Also, I don't know why, but I feel like this is important for the fire number. I just turned 48, not last week, but the week before. So 62 is the retirement age minus 48. So I have another 14 years until retirement. You guys see this? Another 14 years till retirement. So that's how long I would have to do this. So, how to calculate your fire number. To calculate your financial independence retire early number, you need to estimate your annual expenses in retirement and then multiply that number by 25. Okay. So, my monthly expenses, and here's what I'm not sure I wonder if the Medicaid would affect people on the fire movement, especially here in the States. Maybe not if you retire somewhere abroad, but if you retire here in, this looks like I don't have a neck and a body, the way I'm holding this. But anyway, if you, some of the people that have done the fire movement, I wonder if this will affect them because they would be working age, right? They would be between, who knows, 30 and 64. And now they're not going to qualify for free healthcare or low cost healthcare um unless they're working or volunteering for those 80 hours or in school. Okay. So, I'm just going to estimate my expenses cuz my house is almost paid off. I'm going to say that my monthly expenses, and I think this is high, but maybe not if we're doing healthcare in there, right? And this could be a low estimate if I need to include healthcare. So I'm going to say monthly equals 2000. So that means yearly would be 24,000. And then 24,000 times 24. No, times 25. Times 25. What does that equal? We're gonna use the calculator this morning, guys. Okay, hold on one second. Clear. 24,000 times 25 equals 600,000. Okay. At least it's not like millions of dollars. Times 25 equals 600,000. I don't even have 600,000 in my 401k right now, and I've been doing it since I was 21. So I'm going to say that this is going to be a little bit difficult, but let's keep reading what this says. This is based on the 4% rule, which suggests that you can safely withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without depleting your funds. Step by step, estimate your annual expenses, includes all living expenses, healthcare, travel, and other costs. Apply the 25 25x rule. Multiply your estimated annual expenses by 25. For example, if you projected annual expenses are 50,000, your fire number would be 1.25 million. While the 25% rule is not percent, 25x rule is a good starting point, you may need to adjust it based on your individual circumstances, such as healthcare cost. Healthcare expenses can vary significantly in retirement, so it's important to factor in potential cost. Travel. If you plan to travel extensively or have high spending lifestyle, you may need a larger fire number. Other income sources. If you have pensions, rental income, or other income streams, these can reduce the amount of money you need to save. Inflation. Inflation can erode the purchasing power of your savings over time. So you want to make sure to factor that in. And market volatility. Market fluctuations can impact the sustainability of your fire plan. So consider using a more conservative withdrawal rate if you're concerned about market volatility. Ooh. Oh, and then there's different fire numbers. I guess we're just doing like the regular one. I don't think I need to do it by 25. I don't think it's quite that far out. Oh, wait, 2026. Yes, it is. Why was I thinking? Yes, that's next year. Yes. That is still a ways away. Okay. I'm going to do this by 14 because I think for me, because that's how many years until I retire. And once I retire, I can access that 401k and then also have some Social Security. Maybe not full Social Security, but some. So 24,000 times 14. 24,000 times 14. So that would equal $336,000. So that's looking a little bit more doable. And right now I have maybe, let's just say 36,000. So I need an additional 300,000 in savings or stocks or money that I can access that's not in my 401k in order to retire early. And while that's a lot of money, if the stock market cooperated, I don't know. I don't like, so right now I'm probably saving $10,000 a year. So 10,000, that would take me 30 years to do that. So I would already be retired by the time I hit my fire number. So I would have to really, for me, I would, yeah, let's Debbie, let's do the movies in a second. So for me, it would take me about 30 years probably to hit that number, and I will already be retired when I do that. That doesn't mean I should stop trying, but maybe instead of focusing my money in like a brokerage account, I'm going to keep doing what I was already planning, which is just contributing like the maximum to something like a 401k, which is going to be a tax advantaged account. But then I won't be able to withdraw the money until I'm 59 and a half. So, or maybe I'll do like a mix. Maybe I'll still continue to try and hit the federal maximum contributions on my 401k and then also put more money in a brokerage account. I have 16 and a half payments left on my house. And because of that, after that year and a half, basically, I, want to start putting that money into an investment account. But that's only going to be the principal and interest portion of my house payment is about $900. So that's about, a little more than 9,000. What is that? Okay, we're going to go 900 times 12. 900 times 12. So that's an additional 10,000. So then I'd be saving 20,000 a year. Okay. If you can make 2 mortgage payments per month. So, Richard, I'm not sure if you've been on, but, let me look up the number 1 movie for Debbie, because again, I work at a movie theater, so and this is money related. The numbers, box office gross. Alright. What the heck? Why didn't that go? Oh my god, apparently I don't know how to Google, so let's just oops. Okay. So, weekend box office. And yet, Debbie, people are really liking Superman for what it's worth. This is just freezing. It's not going. All right. Well, I guess we're going to let it cook for a second. You're welcome. Oh, there we go. So, Superman's the number 1 movie. Jurassic World Rebirth is the number 2 movie. I Know What You Did Last Summer, then Smurfs, then F1 the movie, then How to Train Your Dragon, which I think just got released on streaming. Then something called Eddington, which has Pedro Pascal, and I think it's supposed to be like a thriller about cowboys and COVID. People are saying that it gives you a lot to think about. I don't know what that means. The director of that movie and the distributor, they normally do horror, but this is not horror. Then we've got Elio, then Lilo and Stitch, then 28 Years Later. That's interesting. Okay. So yeah, Superman's still the number 1 movie. And then of course, next week it's going to be Fantastic Four for sure. Okay. So those are the movies. Have you seen Superman? You said it's okay and it was packed theaters. Ooh, I don't know the actor that plays Superman. Who who plays Superman? David Corn Sweet. It's directed by James Gunn. It's a reboot. I don't know what he's been in. It's Clark Kent, Superman. I am not familiar with him. I know this is terrible, but I don't always know the actors. All right. So, the Medicaid rules. What did I just say? Okay. So, Richard, I was going to explain why I don't pay off my mortgage early, even though I can. I could actually pay off the entire thing right now. The reason why I don't is because if I were to do that, so my mortgage rate is 2.75%. I'm just going to pull up my numbers. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah. Okay, Debbie. I said that too. I said, I'm not that interested in this Superman. I will say they mostly marketed this as just Superman, and I actually hear it's more of an ensemble cast. That would have interested me more. Also, in the trailer, Superman is like very wounded, and his dog is like jumping on him, even though he's wounded. And it's like, doesn't this dog know that like it's hurting Superman? I don't know. It was weird. Okay. So I owe $13,863 on my house. Keep the mortgage as a tax write-off. So I'm not paying enough in taxes for that to be a write-off. I'm better off with the standard deduction because this is going to be the easiest way to do this. Yeah. Okay. So this is my most recent payment. And I don't know if you guys can see that or not. $33.69 was the interest portion of my last payment. So it's just not very much. And that's my total mortgage payment with like insurance and escrow taxes, everything, right? So that's what my monthly payment is. And the interest is $33.69. Let me show you how much, and it's not apples to apples because there's a little bit more. I'm doing Robinhood as my high yield savings account, and right now they're at 4% interest. If you have a gold membership, which I do, um, I have to pay $5 a month, but then, like, because I invested, it gives me, like, a savings bonus. Okay, let's see here. So, okay, can we see these numbers? Yeah, these show up really good. Okay, so buying power, that's the cash I have saved in Robinhood that's earning interest, is $17,650.67. And then this next column is interest accrued this month, $41.46. So, and even without the math, I'm getting 4% in my high yield savings account. And my mortgage interest on my house is only 2.75%. So it makes more financial sense to be gaining, basically, I'm getting an extra 1.25% by investing the money in Robinhood instead of paying off the house early. So that is currently my plan. Now, if the high yield savings account ever dropped below 2.75%, then it would make more financial sense to pay off the house early, and I would immediately do that. Another good but not quite great free high yield savings account is American Express. Let me tell you guys what they're at. Da, 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 da. Oh, in a second, you guys, I'll show you a picture of me with the crypto bucket. Oh, thanks, Debbie. Debbie's reminding everybody to please hit the like button. Okay. Interest rate on an American Express. Oh, no, I hit log out like an idiot. I think that's at 3.6%. So if it were an American Express, we'd be getting very close. But yeah, the high yield savings rate at American Express is 3.6%. So I moved all but like $4 out of there. I don't know why I have that $4 lingering in there, but 3.6 is the interest rate I'm getting with American Express. But again, that's still more than my interest rate on my mortgage, so it doesn't make financial sense to pay off my mortgage. It took me so long to figure that out. For the first part of my mortgage, I was making extra payments. I was having it come out biweekly. There is something psychologically, emotionally satisfying about paying your house off early and about seeing the amount you owe come down. And it's emotionally very tempting to just say, okay, I have enough money in my savings account to pay off my mortgage. I'm going to do it. But as I get smarter about my finances and I do that math, I'm like, it's not actually a good deal to do that. Oh, my ear is itching. Okay. So Debbie says the dog is interesting and the little robot is cool that grows to a giant menace. Okay, you guys, let's look at some of the popcorn buckets that are collectible. And I'm going to say that this ties into finance because technically you could resell these on eBay, but I don't know for how much. All right. This is not a good photo. You can't see the bucket enough. We were going to put this on social media, but I'm just blending in with the little crypto bucket. Uh, he's really cute. Did I wear that shirt because it matched? Yes, I did. So I'm just blending right in with the bucket though. So I never submitted those for social media. Also, like I need to put on a little bit of makeup when I go to work, especially if I'm wearing those bright colors. But anyway, we have that. Now look, you guys, look what we're getting soon. This is the Galactus popcorn bucket. This thing is huge. I keep joking. I'm like, I'm going to sell it its own seat. It's like that thing is like bigger than my whole body. Like it's crazy big. Um So yeah, and I'm not supposed to say where I work, but we do still have those popcorn buckets if anybody's a super fan and they're interested. Okay, Richard says, okay, let's see here. I'd rather have that 1,325 in my brokerage account than receive a tax write-off. So I'm not getting any tax write-off from my house, right? So you can either choose the standard deduction or a lot of times, and when I first bought my house, I did itemize, right? So you want to look, but right now, the standard deduction is so much higher than my itemized. Let me try and pull up one other thing on my house that I think will make this way more clear. Um, okay. I'll show my address. Okay, it's not showing up. Okay. So there we've got the interest rate. You see it's 2.75%. And then if we go down to this prior year, okay. Interest paid in 2024, $687.77. And I do think you're allowed to also write off the property taxes, which were almost $2,000. But we're still at like, what is that, like $2,600 roughly, that I paid in property tax and interest last year, and $2,600 isn't near what the standard deduction is. Then you have some other things like you have, sorry, my coworker's texting me. So then you have other things like donations, but really the big thing that most people have that gets them above the amount for the itemized deductions is their mortgage interest. And I paid less than $1,000 in mortgage interest last year. So my property taxes are low, my mortgage interest is low. Um, I'm donating, but not like crazy amounts of money. Um, and it used to be, I think, state and local taxes you could also deduct, which helped get some people, but I'm not earning enough that I'm paying more than the standard deduction. So I'm not trying to get a tax write-off because, yeah, Richard, I would agree with you on that. And it wouldn't be 1325. That is my mortgage payment, but I'm still going to have to pay um property taxes, and I'm still going to have to pay for home insurance. So the part of that 1325 that I would be saving each month if the house was paid off would be $900. The other 425 I would still need to pay because I would still be paying property taxes and home insurance. So for me, so I'm looking at just what I'm looking what I'm paying a month in interest on the house payment, which was 36 and some change, versus what I'm gaining by keeping the money in the savings account. And I was thinking that this would make a good video. I'm still at this point, guys, where I'm like, this would make a good video. And then I don't make the video because I'm tired. Life gets you sometimes, and I'm at that life is getting me point in time. Like, work is crazy, home is a little crazy right now. I'm having surgery in September. I have on my hand. I'm going on a trip in October. And then we'll be back at the busy season for like Oscars and the holidays at the movie theater. So it's going to be go 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 till the end of the year. So the video making possibilities are not looking great right now, but I did think it would be fun to like each month, and let me know if you guys think this is a good idea, if you would want to see it. Every month, like I could put, I could make it so that the amount in savings was exactly the same as the remaining balance on my house, so that you would see, so that they weren't different, right? So that we were comparing apples to apples. And then I could show those numbers. It would just be like a short. It would be like, here's why I'm not paying off my house early, because I'm making this much interest by keeping it in a savings account, and I only paid this much interest um on the mortgage payment. So it would take a little, in addition to filming the video, which hopefully wouldn't take that long, it would also require that every month I actually reduce the amount of money that's in the best high yield savings account. And I think that's why I haven't done it, right? Like I don't have like a second. So I would have to like adjust the amount in my savings account down as my mortgage balance went down, but then it would be like an apples to apples comparison, and I thought that might be neat to really show, "Hey, I'm paying this, but I'm getting this," and, like, let's say the difference is $12, so then it would be, it'd be easier to see, she's gaining $12 by not paying her interest off, and I know $12 isn't a lot, but, like, it's something. And then I do still, though, have moments where I'm like, "Well, but peace of mind of having a paid off house is also something." But it's gonna be paid off in a year and a half anyway, so I don't need to rush it, I just need to be patient. But would you guys wanna actually see that apples to apples comparison where you're seeing how much I'm getting in interest versus how much I paid in interest if the account balances were exactly the same? Yes. Can I give you an yes. Can I give you an update on the Yada Bank issue that you had months ago? Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, you may or may not know, I used to really love Yada Bank. I think I got like an extra $300 by joining. They had good interest rates, they had good savings rates. And then I don't exactly to this day understand what happened. But somehow the processing firm, it wasn't exactly Yada Bank, but somehow like the payment processing firm that they used went belly up. They went bankrupt. They stopped existing. All right, Cindy, I'm gonna make that. I can do that. Because I think yeah, okay, Richard. And I think that'd be fun too. All right, I'm gonna do it. Um so I think that's a good idea, and I think that's a simple enough video. Again, I think that would just be a short, and or I could share it with you guys just here on the lives. Also, we should do like a 401k balance check. Anyway, basically everybody that got their money that had money in Yada Bank, it got stuck. And a lot of people, I was using it as my primary bank account for a while. And then for some reason, it just got like, it is complicated having like multiple bank accounts, right? It's not, I don't know. So at some point, I think honestly, I just got lazy. And so I switched I wasn't using it as much, but I still had like $7 or something in there and the money got stuck. But other people had like significant amounts of money that they just didn't have access to. And I got lucky that I just switched. I basically switched because I got lazy. Um, it was just going into Wells Fargo. I stopped like my automatic transfers over to Yada Bank because my mortgage came out and I was tired of like moving everything back and forth. But some people were still using it as their primary bank and their funds just got stuck. But eventually, the funds did get released, and you just, like you logged in, and they sent your balance. I believe that they did. I did. I got my little $7 back. I wanna say that they put it in PayPal. Like, you there was, like, a step or 2 that you had to do, but yes, I believe let's Google that just real quick. Um And, it was a product that I believed in, that I was using. Like, right now, I'm wearing my Mr. Beast Feastables shirt. I've eaten the chocolate. I don't know if it's really my favorite chocolate. I don't 1, I'm not a chocolate person. 2, it tastes like healthy chocolate to me. Um, but, like, I've used Feastable products. I use Yada. I still use Weeble. I use Rakuten. There's a lot of stuff that I recommend that I use, but I feel really bad if anybody that I recommended it to got their money stuck. And I honestly think like, I don't think I know Graham Stephan was the one that really got me into it, and a lot of us in the mentorship, we were doing it. It was fun. It was kind of like made banking a little bit social. They pulled like lotto numbers every week. And so you could win like a crazy amount of money. without actually like buying lotto tickets. It's a cool concept and they do it in Europe. And again, it's not actually Yada Bank that went under. It was like their payment processor. Okay, let's see what Google did. Did people get their money back? Not a fast typer, back from Yada Bank. Yes. Okay. So this is the AI overview, but it looks correct. Yes, some Yada customers. Yes, some Yada customers have received refunds after experiencing frozen funds due to the Synops bankruptcy, but many are still waiting and some have received only partial refunds. Oh, that's not good. Evolve Bank and Trust has been reconciling accounts, but some customers have reported receiving very small payouts compared to the amounts they initially deposited. All right, and this is from May 20 um May 29th, 2025. So this article is not even that long ago. Some who experienced frozen funds and were unable to access money through a high yield savings app are now getting their money back. One local man says he got most of his money back, but another local man says he's still out thousands. Meanwhile, the bank at the center of this financial mystery recently issued an update. A week later, I got a check in the mail. Murphy says he's getting his money back after depositing nearly 2,800 through the Yada High Yield Savings app, which used Evolve Bank and Trust, which that was backed by the FDIC, but it was frozen because of that payment processing company, Synops. Okay. These people lived of Vernon Hills. A week went by, no withdrawal. 2 weeks, no withdrawal. I tried taking all my money out just to be safe, and then all the transactions got canceled. Turneritsky says his balance of more than 7,400 disappeared, and he hasn't received a dime. The money doesn't exist. It's not held at Evolve. They're saying the money doesn't exist. Both men are some of the 85,000 customers who Yada says were locked out of their accounts in May of 2024. And it's all tied to the collapse of the Synops brokerage. That's the middleman that the Yada app and Evolve Bank relied on to manage user funds. In a recent update, Evolve Bank claims that there are alarming discrepancies, saying Synops was sending one statement to Evolve and a different one to end users. Evolve says Synops ledgers were inaccurate. Synops is its bankruptcy attorney and its bankruptcy trustee have not responded to requests for comment. Former Illinois resident Zach Jacobs lost $100,000, and he says, "Yeah, I mean it's like losing a house." He says he recently got 99% of his money back from Evolve, so that's good. He created the website fightforyourfunds.org, which brought together thousands of people who had tens of millions of dollars frozen. It says it continues to work with Synops and other partner banks to locate the missing funds and that it's using transaction data from the Federal Reserve. In a lawsuit, Yada is pointing the blame at Evolve. Evolve filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, blaming Synops. And according to what I just lost, you can file a complaint with the FDIC. So that's where that's at. Hi, JJ Paranormal. So yeah, I got my money back. Hi, Shelly. Chat, it's Joy and Joey, and hope you're doing well. I am doing well. I hope everybody watching is doing well. Again, so I've got my fire number. I think I would need to hit $300,000 in 30 years. I do not have a plan to do that. That would take me 30 years at $10,000. I was going to say something else. The Yada Bank. I don't remember what it was though. Was it important? I don't know. But yeah, I got my little $7 back in PayPal. What was it about? Might have been about mortgage. I don't remember. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to head out today. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching Shelly's Millions. I will see you next time.